to the overview for the Panarchist Constitution. This is a document that is somewhat minarchist, but it also has polycentric anarcho-capitalist or voluntarist features. Now, if that didn't make any sense to you, don't worry, I will go over it. The institutions formed by this document exist to serve three main purposes: to resist war among city-states, to resist tyranny within city-states, and to resist foreign military invasion. Now, it's called Panarchist because the city-states can create their own constitutions, which get much more specific and have more policies, more specific policies. So this is kind of like the Constitution, except states are very large and they include rural and urban areas, whereas city-states are very compact and they have only urban areas. So that's one of the big differences. And this could have potentially several hundred different city-states instead of 50 states, as the U.S. does now. And we kind of got away from the 10th Amendment anyway. We're kind of going towards it, which is really good news. But this is like the 10th Amendment on steroids. So, Article 1, Revenue Generation. In order to finance the above objectives, the Alliance may levy a tax on commodities and goods of the following. Maximum allowable rates. So this is the key word here, maximum, right? That's the big one. To be collected at city-state freight depots. Now there's two different modes of operation here, peacetime and wartime. The peacetime, you'll go into that more later. The peacetime domestic rate is 3% and foreign rate is 20%. Now the foreign rate is tariffs. That is what the foreign rate is. Those are all commodities and goods that are coming in from foreign countries. For wartime, domestic's 15, foreign is 100%. That's exactly 5x. This revenue finances the three agencies listed below. They're managed by a singular Senate: the Reserve Army, National Diplomacy, and International Diplomacy. Here is the Reserve Army. The Reserve Army serves as a military force to deter against and fight against foreign military invasion. They may also strike foreign nations, but only gravely attacked first. The Reserve Army can also be deployed via three-quarter Senate vote against tyrannical or military aggressive domestic city-states with the following objectives. So this is essentially, if you're going to domestic war, this is the procedure you would follow. You surround the territory, cut off trade, you allow non-combatants to safely leave the city, and then you topple the power structure with minimal property damage and civilian casualties. Surrender is also preferred. So like after you declare war and do procedure A, hopefully they can surrender and make some kind of deal that way. So Article 3, National Diplomacy Department. This department monitors both diplomacy and potential human rights violations within the city-states. City-states must allow diplomats to travel within and openly investigate all city-states. They can also make arrests for Article 9 violations to be tried in the National Court, which is down here. They report its findings to the Senate. So it's kind of like your intelligence agency, but domestically. This is Article 4, your intelligence agency, but internationally. It fills a seat at the UN. And it gives warnings of potential threats or conflict, or it can dismantle, there's a typo, dismantle such threats through dialogue. So also reports findings to the Senate. On to the Senate. The Senate is a governing body which administers Article 1 tax revenue. The Senate cannot legislate or create law. That's a big one. That's why it's underlined. Every city-state with above a population of 100,000 may send one senator to the capital, which would currently be about 260 people in the United States, 260 senators. The vote of each senator is weighted based on their locality's population, rounded to the nearest 10,000. So certain senators would have far more power or a far stronger vote than others. With a majority vote, the Senate may adjust the Article 1 tax rates, not exceeding the maximum. With a three-quarter vote, the Senate may declare war on a tyrannical or militarily aggressive domestic city-state or foreign government. The Senate also elects the Supreme Commander, head of the General Reserve Army, as well as the head of the other departments. They also appoint the National Court judges. Article 6, rural regions. These regions aren't populated enough to be considered city-states, but they're still protected by the Bill of Rights and non-aggression principle. They have private property and may self-govern. City-states may only acquire and assimilate additional rural property if the owner agrees to join the city-state or agrees to sell his or her property to them. So it's all very voluntary. Article 7, Wartime Bill of Rights. After a declaration of war by the Senate, the Reserve Army will be mobilized by the Supreme Commander. City-states are then able to use self-determination in the following ways. So they have some nice decision-making sovereignty as well here. If a population or city-state feels a domestic war is unjust, the city-state or any Reserve Army soldiers have the following rights. City-states have the right to exit the alliance entirely, even against the wishes of their senator, because the senator may be corrupt, of course. This would mostly be by direct democracy vote would be the best way to do this stuff, because this is, war is a very, very serious issue. City-states have the right to create or join new military alliances and factions, even against the wishes of their senator. See Article 11, which is an important article. City-states have the right to refuse the wartime tax, even against the wishes of their senator. And soldiers within the Reserve Army have the right to defect. The soldiers defecting is also very important, because if you're going to aggressively take down, if the Senate agrees to aggressively invade a peaceful city-state based on, non-aggression, a non-aggressive city-state, then this clause right here could have a very sizable portion of the military kind of defect and dissolve and disempower the entire Senate. In the course of, a week or two, the whole thing can just, it'd be like sand through their fingers. It'd be a really beautiful thing to see. If a population or city-state feels a foreign war is unjust, the city-state or army soldiers have the following rights. City-states have the right to refuse the wartime tax, even against the wishes of their senator. I could even do war and peacetime tax. I could even tack on the peacetime tax here, which would hit him even hard in the budget, hit him harder in the wallet, in the coin purse. That's kind of the idea. If this becomes a corrupt institution, having the legal authority to withdraw funding. And then, of course, soldiers can also have the right to defect, in this as well, for a foreign war. During a foreign military invasion of this country, of the nation, soldiers must fight and a wartime tax must be paid. So that is the biggest, one of the big reasons for this document is the foreign military invasion. Wartime automatically expires in 3 months, unless 2/3 of city-states have a 2/3 direct democracy vote in favor of extending the war another 3 months. Repeat until the war ends. So if this is like a very, if it's an emergency situation with a foreign military invasion, and you have your wartime taxes, and everyone's kind of on edge, if the Senate, if it's corrupt, it may want to drag on the wartime. It'll want the wartime to continue, because then they get more power and they get more financing. And this clause allows the people themselves to end wars. So it's a really great clause. The Peacetime Bill of Rights. City-states have the right to independently own military hardware and conduct military training. They can also immediately recall their senator if they disagree with his decisions, based on their specific social contract rules. City-states may not tax or otherwise inhibit trade or travel between city-states or aggress upon rural regions in any way. So this one's pretty important. That's why I underlined it. This is also the whole point of this document, is just to keep the peace. City-states have the right to secede if any given alliance is no longer in their best interests, and they may form new alliances using this contract. See Article 11, which is a really important one. This is kind of gives everyone the right to disengage in their contracts and disengage in their connections with the Senate and with the revenue generation and with the military. And it kind of prevents corruption, and it also lowers prices. So it gives kind of a market mechanics to this peacetime taxation, on top of having maximum rates. And keep in mind, this is not income tax. This is only for commodities and goods. So this is also significantly less than a typical income tax. Article 9, Bill of Rights. The United States Bill of Rights is in effect at all times, unless in local active combat in a declared war. So it's like a combat zone, right? The national courts uphold and secure these rights, and the National Diplomacy Department may make arrests of violators of the Bill of Rights or non-aggression principle and bring them in front of the national courts for trial. So it mentions that over here too. It just mentions it again, same thing. So this is to prevent tyranny within the city-states, on top of declaring war against the tyrannical or military or aggressive domestic city-state. So this is one of the ways it does that. Article 10, National Courts. The National Court hears disputes between rural regions and city-states or between city-states. These cases aren't severe enough to warrant military intervention, but may be worthy of fines and other monetary restitution for the injured party. The Senate appoints the court's judges to deliberate in groups of 3 and as many groups as needed to fulfill national demand. Intellectual property is recognized and defended by the National Court. Patents for invention lasting 20 years and copyrights for artwork lasting 100 years. Article 11, Parallelization. This one is a big one. This one's makes it more polycentric, more voluntarist. This contract can be duplicated and operated separately by more than one independent Senate in a given geographic area. So there could be 3 or 4 different Senates and 3 or 4 different reserve armies, and et cetera, thus creating a market for national defense services. A city-state switching senates/alliances is not legitimate grounds for starting a domestic war. So when you switch your cable company, Comcast cannot declare war on your home and send in the troops. The same thing applies here, the same logic, which is huge because it'll push down this peacetime number, which is what we want. We want this peacetime number to fluctuate and be as low as possible. So, one military might be larger with like a 2% peacetime rate, and then you might have another military that's a bit smaller, a bit more on the anarchist side, and they have 0.5% tax rate on peacetime. So, but then you have possibly the large military going to war against the small military, and you would have different alliances form because the large military is obviously breaking the non-aggression principle and putting lives at risk and putting everyone's safety at risk. So a lot of people would team up against that large military, against that giant, and hopefully good and humanity will save the day, and soldiers will defect because they are risking their lives and risking their families' lives for a little bit of extra tax, a little to enrich the Senate, which is really disgusting and disturbing. And I just think that reason and peace will rule the day if we decentralize this enough. And last but not least, the Senate must compensate traveling through time 1% of 1% of Article 1 tax revenue as royalties for this contract. So I think this is a absolutely massive improvement over the United States Constitution. The Bill of Rights is amazing, don't get me wrong, I love the Bill of Rights. But this is the big one where the U.S. Constitution really failed everyone. The Senate cannot legislate or create law. And also, there's no maximum tax rates. There's no, according to the Constitution, you could send income tax to 90%, and then the Congress can do whatever the fuck they want with that money. That's just disturbing. Here, there's maximum tax rates, and there's only 3 departments that the government is allowed to finance and operate. And each of those departments have very limited duties and very limited roles. So this is a huge increase in liberty compared to the United States Constitution. And there's also the Parallelization article, which is massive. It is a huge deal. Huge, huge deal. The number of city-states is also a big bonus. You have 260. I could reduce this down to 50,000. I was really thinking of reducing it down to 50,000. But then, I don't know. You don't want the Senate to get too chaotic with too many people. That's the idea. So, and that's why you can. That's why they're weighted based on the population of the city-state. So if a city-state has 5 million people, that senator wields more power in the votes. A lot of those concerns with things like that would be addressed by the ability to for city-states to disengage from the alliance entirely. Wars are very expensive. Wars are bloody. Wars are messy. So I would imagine that people want to avoid that at all costs. As far as the National Diplomacy Department making arrests, also that would, if that's abused, the city-states can leave the alliance entirely. I still think it's a great document. If you guys have any real concerns about potential suppression and potential tyranny, just throw them in the comments. Of course, I'm willing to make adjustments to this. I'm willing to add different clauses to different articles. If you find any holes in it, right? Because we're kind of trying to hack the document right now before everything goes live and before it one day becomes a reality. So right now we are in the draft and beta testing phase of the whole system. Anyway, I believe the Wartime Bill of Rights is huge. It's massively important. And obviously, the real Bill of Rights, obviously very important. And the Peacetime Bill of Rights is important as well. Anyway, that's it. Thank you, and have a nice day.